Finally, we're getting back into our regular routine. Normality resumes. We're getting some Pies Footy. Yes, it's an unofficial practice match, but the week feels shorter all of a sudden. The game's on Thursday. Wednesday is starting to feel like a Thursday. Thursday starts to feel like a Friday. Footy's really, really back, and I'm looking forward to those Thursday night games. I think the first one we get is against Carlton in season on a Thursday night. So I really love the idea of getting to Thursday and you've already got a game to look forward to. And we start with an unofficial preseason practice game between a triple threat, if you want to call it that, Collingwood, Gold Coast, Brisbane, tomorrow at Gold Coast People First Stadium. Now, the format and how it came to this. Why is it a triple threat tables, ladders and chairs match? It's because the Indigenous All-Stars played Freo, so that naturally reduces teams who haven't played a preseason match yet from 18 down to 17. So there's not a number. And it just so happened that Collingwood had organised a camp in Gold Coast, and that's how the Brisbane Gold Coast Collingwood game came to light. And what we're going to see is a very competitive first half. So Collingwood play Brisbane for the first two quarters, and Chris Fagan just said on SEN radio that they're going to play a strong side in that first half. And then from there, Brisbane will play Gold Coast for the next two quarters. So Brisbane would have had played their fourth quarters. We've played two, iced the boys for a bit, and then we come back after that game, or the two quarters between Gold Coast and Brisbane, and play another two quarters against Gold Coast. Now, naturally, that says to me, we're going to go pretty hard in that first half as well, play a really strong side. We really don't have a massive injury list. We probably won't see Tom Mitchell. We definitely won't see Harvey Harrison. There's no official squad being named just yet. I'm sure it will come out at some point today, so we'll see that as it comes along. We'll talk about that in the Pies Footy show tonight, so we can save that for the show. That's great. And then, look, Demetier's been under a cloud, Cochrane as well, and then Bobby and AJ, who have just played in that Indigenous game, are unlikely to feature from if common sense prevails, right? We play tomorrow, and then we have a 6-day break going into the game against Richmond in the official practice match next Wednesday. So hopefully common sense prevails there. Knock on wood, we've gotten through this preseason with no significant injuries. Not a great deal of soft tissues, just Tom Mitchell and Nick Dacos and Harvey Harrison, really. Outside of that, we've been really fortunate. I can't say the same for the rest of the league, but there's opportunities there with some of these players missing. If Bobby misses, let's get straight into it. Let's talk the draftees first and foremost, because I think we're all keen to see some of these draftees feature in some competitive match practice. And well, the other thing is, before we even get to that, is being at training, there's been no intra-clubs yet. Match Sim has rarely exceeded 40 minutes in a session. I'd say closer to 30, if anything. So we've been microdosing it. So it's been a bit of a tease from a viewers, a fans perspective. But now we're going to see 4 quarters of the black and white revivified with the new players, acquisitions, draftees. But players like Will Hayes and Charlie West, I think will get great opportunity. I would even dare say that Will Hayes gets some sort of opportunity in the first half, especially if someone like Bobby Hill is unavailable. And then Charlie West, I think, will be someone who will feature more against Gold Coast in the latter quarters. And then we're looking at one of our second-year draftees in TJ. I'm really keen to get a larger sample size of how TJ goes in some competitive match practice against another AFL opposition side. I think he's been training strongly in the preseason, but it hasn't been like, oh wow, he's taking the session by storm. It's an odd one, because some positions that players play at training, it's harder to recognize them. Even someone like Isaac Quaynor has been training really hard and training really well. I still haven't been able to see the final product of what he's been working on this preseason. Same with Reef McInnes. So with his role change, there's been an adjustment at training in a way that Darcy Moore is letting Reef fly for a lot more contests so that Reef can get his volume up in the aerial department. Darcy's already been there, done that, so there's no need for him to be flying for contests at training. So let's see that against an AFL opposition side. I think we can really get a good idea of how Reef looks against a team like Brisbane. No Joe Danaher there, but Sam Day will be there. Ty Gallop I think that's his name, is a draftee, kicked 4 goals in match sim for Brisbane recently. And who's that other gentleman? It's not Cal Shadia. He's at Hawthorn. Logan Morris will be a good one. So there'll be some forwards, some dangerous forwards that Rafe will be asked to play on. And it will be a really good test for him. And we will see also Harry Perryman play midfield, where he hasn't played there a great deal at GWS. So how does he go in that sort of role, having not played a great deal of that position? And then Josh Dacos off the half-back line. If he plays, will we see him play there? He's been training there. He's been doing all the match sim there. I just want to see Josh Dacos off the half-back line with Dan Houston and see what that looks like in full motion. Also, the new look forward line with the 3Ms, Dan McStay, Myercheck, Membry. I would like to think we're going to get at least 2 quarters of them fully thriving and in operations. I don't see how this doesn't work. It's been a beautiful viewing at training to see. They've worked like clockwork, which has been great. It's just what we need. It looks very scary. It looks very ominous for the rest of the league. Early days, right? What else do we have? The other thing is with Reef, it seems like a Reef will start in that first half side, given at match sim practice he's been so that back 6 in match sim has been Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, Braden Maynard, Isaac Quaynor, Josh Dacos, Dan Houston, and then like Reef as well, if I didn't mention him. So the question is, does Dean or Frampton get a sniff in that first half? And if not, how do they go in that second half? Because I'm still not past the point of Charlie Dean not being in the side. I'm not there yet. I'd like to see a little bit more from Charlie Dean, whereas Frampton we've seen quite a bit already. So that's understandable if Frampton has to fight from a way back. That's fine. I understand that. Another note I have is how much midfield time for Still Sidebottom. In match sim, when he plays as that midfielder, he's looking really good. His disposal efficiency has tidied up in this preseason relative to how he went in season last year. But the cliche goes, it's only preseason training. You can't look into it until you get into the match practice. So we want to see that form of Still Sidebottom in those last 4 or 5 games carry on and starts now. It's a really important period for the Pies. I think the preseason games mean a lot more for us than it has in the past, just because of the fact that we didn't make finals last year. Brisbane, they're coming off a lot of surgeries. They're going to be a bit rusty. Their desire is not going to be there as much as it would be for Collingwood right now. I think Gold Coast, that's going to be really competitive in that final 2 quarters as well. I know the teams won't be as strong, but Gold Coast are a side who need to prove to themselves and prove to their fans in this preseason matchup that they are a finals-worthy side. We haven't even mentioned John Noble, so that would be cool if John Noble's on the field. That'd be an interesting sight to see. I hope he goes well, but just not as well as the Collingwood Football Club. Do we have anything else? I think that's about it. I won't go too long, but I'm just glad there's footy. I'm glad there's Pies footy. The routine resumes, back into the match previews, match reviews, other series that we'll have along the way. What are you looking forward to, or what have you missed the most during the off-season / preseason? Let's extend the conversation into the comment section. Go Pies.